Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome back to my channel. And tonight I'm here with Brandi Lanchin, the other member of the Sutton family who's up next to cook. And Brandi, what have we got going on tonight?
Well, today we're going to do kind of a tradition in our house, which is chili and oyster stew on Christmas instead of the big traditional meal. So we're just going to cook up some chili in the roasting pot. I'm not even sure what it's called, honestly.
Well, it's brand new. You just got it, so you got to get, you haven't even named it yet.
Haven't named it. We name our appliances in this house. We haven't named it. Grandma Tony got this for us. So we're going to cook up a big batch of chili for everybody to kind of eat on and graze around.
And what better meal than chili on a cold day like this, and especially after a day like today, Christmas, where we've all been up early and opening presents and stuff, and I think we're all starting to get hungry. So why not have a good pot of chili going?
Chili's easy. Keeps, you can graze, you can just leave it and have a fun with your family instead of mind in the kitchen.
Okay, so what do we need to get this thing going?
So we're making a big batch, and you can dumb this down as far as you need to, but you're going to need some ground beef. You're going to need a couple of good onions, depending on how oniony you like it, some green peppers, and then just some chili beans. And I like to use the diced tomatoes with garlic and green chilies in them. Gives it a little bit of spice, but not a lot. We have some eaters in here that don't like spicy, so this will be a very mild chili. And then, of course, we've got all of our different varieties of spices. So
salt and garlic powder and
a little Creole,
celery seed and cayenne pepper.
Yep.
Woo!
And a little white pepper. I like a little white pepper, and then just your regular pepper. So other than that, that's all you really need.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of hungry mouths in this household. What, 9 or so?
9 of us.
So you mentioned that we're going to use hamburger. We can all see it right here. How much hamburger do you traditionally put in your chili?
Well, since we're a big family, the smallest pot we will make will be 3 pounds of meat. Today we're going to do 6 pounds of meat because we have company. So you just want to do, for every pound of meat you do, you want to do at least 1 can of chili beans and 1 can of tomatoes. And at least 1 onion, just depending. But today we're going to use 6 pounds of meat. So we're going to have way more beans and tomatoes than this, but you'll see us do that later.
Okay. So what do we need to do to get started?
We're going to wash our hands first.
Right.
And then we're going to brown our meat, chop our vegetables, and throw those in with a little bit of spices and seasoning. Okay. So.
And I might add that you've already got...
I've got this preheated to about 400 degrees, and we'll see how that works out. It's the first time I'm using it, so we'll adjust it as we need, but I think 400 would be probably where I need to be to for the ground beef.
Okay.
So I'm going to wash my hands.
Okay.
So first, I think we'll start chopping our onions because those always make me cry. And sometimes I'll use the food processor, but I'm only doing 3, so it really isn't in my best interest to have to clean that thing to use the food processor. So I'm just going to chop up 3 onions quick. But I like the smaller pieces because we have a few picky eaters in the house that don't like onions. But you'll see as I get going that I'm just not going to care.
Okay. And
they're just going to be big. But they're going to be cooked all the way through. And so most of the time nobody notices.
Well, would this be something that I could help you with?
Absolutely, Tim, because I would much appreciate your help with this. So I'm going to pass this to you and grab another cutting board.
Okay.
So I do the green peppers the same way as the onions, again, because I have a few picky eaters in the house. Wasn't directly referring to Tim. I got a little one who is pretty picky, so you want them about the same size, and they're all going to cook up.
All right, Brandi, I never said these were going to be perfect, but now they all look almost the same size. What can I do with these?
For this purpose, we're going to put them all in a bowl because I like to do the ground beef and the vegetables together so that they brown and cook completely. So we'll just shove those in there so that you can get on to your next 2, Tim.
Okay. All right, I think this is about as good as these are going to get, and my eyes are saying it's time to stop. So what do you think?
I think you did fine.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is this is already preheated to 400 degrees. Now, if you're using one of these, you need to be really careful because the outsides get really hot. So we're going to take our hamburger meat and we're just going to open it up and plop her in.
And we've already got our cans open here.
Yeah, we've got our cans open, and remember that this is a very large pot of chili because we have so many people. So remember that when you're going to make your chili, if it's not for 20 people, you do not want to add this much. So to this, I always use a wooden spoon or a wooden fork, however you want to say it, spatula. Just kind of get it all over your pan, and you can hear her sizzling, ready to go.
I wonder if our camera can see all that. Are you just pretty much just dicing it up, kind of?
Yeah, I'm just kind of chopping it up so we don't have big, huge chunks of hamburger. Just kind of get it all over the pan. And then when I get that done, I'm going to pour in all of our onions that you so kindly cut for my eyeballs.
Onions and the bell peppers?
And the bell peppers are cut.
Now, was this all the bell pepper that we cut up? Or
Yep, that's 2 bell peppers. And I like them for the taste. It gives it kind of a sweeter flavor. So we're just going to dump these in on top.
Okay.
And then we're going to take the remainder of yours.
Onions.
Of your onions that you chopped so kindly to save my eyes. And we're going to mix that all in together. So you want your onions kind of mixed in with all your ground beef. And you can see I do have still some bigger chunks of hamburger in there, and that's okay because it's going to cook down and you're going to stir every once in a while as it's browning to make sure you're cooking it thoroughly. So then what I like to do is start adding my seasonings. So garlic salt is a must in our house, and I don't measure, I just sprinkle liberally. Remember that you're going to add tomatoes and you're going to add beans to this, so you're not going to over salt. So we got some of that. This is a good Creole. It gives it just a little bit of a kick, but not enough that everybody's going to be on fire.
My mom used that a lot when I grew up.
It's just a good all-purpose kind of seasoning, and I do it pretty liberally because it is going to cook down and we're adding more stuff to it. White pepper, to me, is always really good in chili. I don't know what the difference is, but I just like it. So I put quite a bit of that in there. Celery salt or celery seed is really good on meat. Brings out some good flavors, and I put quite a bit of that in there also. You can measure. I'm not a measurer. I'm just a dumper. And then
you've got some actual cayenne pepper.
Okay, so this you want to be careful with. Otherwise, you are going to get a really hot chili that is going to be uneatable. So I'm just going to give it a few little sprinkles, and then as it cooks down and I taste it, I'm going to see if it needs any more. And ground black pepper on the coarse setting gives it a little bit of a peppery flavor, which is always good, along with your white pepper.
My mouth's already started to water.
It's just a good, cost-effective meal for a ton of people. And then you're just going to mix all your seasonings into your burger and your onions and your green peppers. And you're going to let it cook up and brown completely before you add anything else.
All right, Brandi, we've let this cook for about 15-20 minutes, and we're waiting for the meat to brown.
Yep.
And what do you think?
So you can see now that the meat is nice and browned. The onions are translucent. The green peppers are pretty well cooked. And remember that we're going to simmer this for a while, so it's going to continue to cook. But our meat is up to temperature and is cooked thoroughly.
And it smells good.
It smells good, and it's about to get better. So now at this point, we're going to start just dumping in our beans and our tomatoes.
Okay, now let me, if someone at home wants to follow along with your recipe, we added 10 pounds of meat, right?
This is 6 pounds of meat,
6 pounds of meat.
3 onions, 2 bell peppers, and for this, we're going to use at least 5 cans of beans and 5 cans of tomatoes.
Okay.
And so we're just going to literally start dumping in. And I like to make sure I got all the beans and the juice out of it. And then once we got all these in there, then we'll start stirring.
Okay.
I am going to leave the heat up on this for just a few minutes to bring it all up to temperature, and then we're going to turn it down. So maybe 5 minutes of it still being at the 400 degrees. just to bring everything up to temperature. And then we'll turn it down to low and just let it simmer. And when everything's nice and warm, it's really ready to eat, but you can let it simmer as long as you want. This is just a very easy, mild chili that everybody likes.
Okay.
So we're just turning everything over, making sure we're getting all that meat off the bottom and mixing it in with the peppers, the onions, the tomatoes, and the beans. And then in about 5 minutes, I will taste it and just see if it needs anything else.
It's kind of a similarity, I guess, but it's got some red and green, just like Christmas colors, so it almost fits the theme for today.
It does. We don't do a big production for food-wise on Christmas. This is just super easy. Those who don't like the oyster stew can have chili or vice versa. And, you know, our family likes to graze, so we don't all eat at the same time. So this is still good if, you know, an hour or two later, as long as you're keeping it warm and up to temperature.
Now, this is a lot of chili.
Yes.
But the big question of the day is, how long will it last?
It won't last the night in this house. It'll be gone by the time the end of the night. It's just the nature of the beast of our house is very busy. And we have a lot of people, and most everybody looks forward to chili on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the oyster stew will be gone tonight too.
Well, and I know I got a text from my mom's husband, and he was asking me where the chili was because my girlfriend Debbie traditionally she started making chili every year, and everybody loves it. I mean, there's none left over. People always want to take some home.
Yep, it's, you know, I think it's a northern thing. We do chili and oyster stew, and who doesn't like a big bowl of chili in the middle of a cold winter? This winter isn't so bad for us, but typically it's super cold here. So I just got that mixed in. We're just going to turn the heat down to about 200 degrees and just kind of let it do its thing. In about 20-30 minutes, it'll be ready to eat, as long as everything is nice and warm. Remember that your meat's already cooked, your tomatoes are already cooked, and your beans are already cooked. So you could dish it up and eat it now.
So it's kind of a foolproof recipe. I mean, once you've got your meat brown, that's the important part, right?
As long as your meat is cooked thoroughly, then you're good. You could dish it up and eat it, let it sit, doesn't matter, but make sure to keep it warm enough to temperature. Don't let it just sit on the counter and go cold.
Okay.
So other than that, we're good to go.
All right. Well, I suppose after we put the lid on this, we better start rounding up some crackers, some bowls, and some spoons
Crackers, cheese, bowl, sour cream, Fritos, however you guys like it.
Okay. Well, hey, Brandi, thanks a lot for showing us how to make this chili that your family shares as a tradition every year. And if you like this video and you have suggestions for other videos or other dishes, like we've been saying, please leave them in the comments or something or another, and we'll see if we can get those going. And otherwise, we'll just continue on with Family Cook Nights here on the Tim Stevens Productions channel and the Cooking with Family series, night 3, I believe.
Night 3.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.